Drummond Island Dogman, Chapters 3, 4, and 5. Chapter 3. It had been some time since the creature had eaten, and he was hungry. He stood on all fours, nestled in the pines near the pond. His body was relaxed, but alert. Beneath his rough, wiry fur, tight muscles were unstrained but ready to spring, to run, to pursue, ready to hunt. He sniffed the air with his sensitive nose. He was able to detect dozens of various scents, but nothing pleasing to his palate, nothing that would satisfy his hunger. He'd followed the scent of a deer to the pond, but the animal had been spooked and fled. A deer would have been tasty, a nice filling meal, but deer were fast and required speed and effort to chase down. So he waited. He listened. Through the wind in the trees, another sound came. Although it was faint, it was unpleasant and irritating to the beast. It was a droning sound, steady, then rising in pitch, then falling, and it was getting closer. Still, he was patient, sniffing the air for any new smells. Nothing. Yet, the sound drew nearer, louder. The creature bared his teeth but uttered no sound. His muscles tightened, his eyes scanned the forest. Still the sound grew louder. The creature did not like the sound. It was noise, unwelcome and invasive. It made him angry. The noise was unnatural, mechanical, intrusive. But the noise also meant meat, food. The beast turned, slinking along the side of the pond at an unrushed but steady gait, and the noise drew nearer. The creature, enormous in size, even on all fours, slipped silently through the thick brush and crouched low. Peering through the branches, he caught a glimpse of movement. The sound of the machine ceased, only to be replaced by another sound. Voices. Humans. Tucked in the shadows, hunkered to the ground, the beast watched and waited. Chapter 4. "Are they bear tracks?" Delaney asked again. I hadn't responded to her question. Instead, I glanced up and looked around the pond, searching the gauzy black shadows, the hidden alcoves and dark caverns nestled within the spiny branches and colorful autumn leaves. My mind and body were on full alert, and I wasn't sure why. I wasn't sure why I had broken into a chilled sweat, and I wasn't sure why I was suddenly so nervous. I wasn't sure what was lurking in the shadows, if anything, and I wasn't sure what type of animal had made those huge claw-like tracks in the mud near the pond. But I had an idea. Sure, maybe it was just my imagination getting the best of me. Still. "We have to leave," I said coldly. "We have to leave, and we have to leave now." "What?" Delaney asked, her eyes darting around nervously. "What's wrong?" I didn't want to say anything. I didn't want to tell her that the tracks we'd found didn't belong to a bear. A wolf? No, if the tracks belonged to a wolf, it would have to be the biggest wolf in the world. And there it was again, the thought tucked away in the back of my mind, a thought I didn't want to entertain, something I didn't want to think about. And yet the thought kept coming back to me, knifing through my mind, emerging from the darkness and casting a shadow over my soul. Dogman. Don't be silly, I told myself. Dogman isn't real. He's just a legend, a story. Everybody knows that, don't they? Don't they? Like it or not, I would soon get my answer. And it wasn't the answer I was hoping for. Chapter 5. The beast was hungry, and the scent of human flesh drove him crazy. He sniffed the air slowly, his nostrils flaring, and he was careful not to make a single sound. His mouth was open, exposing rows of enormous, sharp teeth wet with saliva. A loop of drool fell from his lower jowl and landed silently on a leaf. And the creature could hear them now, communicating in that garbled language that he could not understand, language that he'd heard often. But in the same way a human cannot understand what a dog says when he barks or growls, the beast could not possibly know what these two small humans were saying to one another. The only thing the creature knew was that they were young. He knew they would not be able to run as fast as he. He knew that it had been a full day since he'd had anything to eat, and he knew these humans smelled delicious. Still, he also knew he had to be cautious. After all, he hadn't survived as long as he had by making mistakes that would get him caught, mistakes that would bring other humans into the woods to search for him, to hunt him down like an animal, a beast, a freak of nature that shouldn't exist but did. He watched from the shadows as the female species knelt next to the pond, a mane of golden hair flowing over her shoulders. She spoke in a raised voice, and this brought the male species to her side. The creature waited motionless as the two humans inspected something at their feet. A breeze came again, bringing the delicious human scent to the beast's sensitive nose. He savored the moment as if drinking in a delicacy, a taste to be cherished. Two young, small humans alone in the forest. There were no other humans around, and none of their square-shaped dens in which they could safely retreat. There was only them and him, alone. He lifted a huge paw, a long claw that had the qualities of both a human and a dog. Slowly, silently, he paused. He waited. He sniffed the air. And somewhere deep within the creature, a desperate hunger growled and snarled. It was time to attack.